Hello everybody and welcome to NBL Overtime. A huge weekend, comebacks galore, some upsets, the top of the table teams, one lost, another one somehow able to provide a miracle and win in overtime in far north Queensland. Cairns are a lot better than they've been for the last 3 months, and the Sydney Kings have made an import change. Some breaking news, Ray Turner's going to be at the Kings. We'll get into a little more about that shortly. And the Adelaide 36ers are looking for a replacement because Ramon Moore with a calf injury is out for the rest of the NBL regular season. My name's Cam Luke. Your time to get involved. Hashtag NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL 19. Hashtag do better. Hashtag see incredible. Corey Homicide Williams, welcome to you.
Glad to be here. Let's get into it.
Liam Santa Maria, fair bit going on. Of course, yes. The Kings have made a change. The 36ers are close to it, but it was a huge weekend of highlights.
Wasn't it incredible? A whole bunch of comebacks, a few more upsets, and some teams making some changes for the stretch run. And
it started with the Sydney Kings doing a really good job. They were outstanding against New Zealand earlier in the weekend, but they faltered as the weekend continued. But we're going to start last Thursday. This Illawarra-Adelaide matchup, high octane, and a shot clock issue probably changed the momentum of the game actually a little bit.
It did, yeah, and you can't really complain about it when it's at your home arena, but
True.
No, it changed things and it was a good win for the 36ers.
It was this. The Cairns Taipans weren't going to win a game again, Homicide 2 weeks ago. They went to Perth.
Yeah, that's a great place to get a win at. Good on them.
That's all you got?
you tell me when you tell me. I'm going to let you go through it, and then you tell me when it's my turn.
That game actually inspired a poet in us. The Sydney Kings were brilliant. This was a good matchup. Look at Shawn long above the rim. This Kevin Lish little... ding.
I like that. He brought it. Shawn Long brought it. Bogeyman provided plenty of resistance, like he sent that one packing, and... got the W.
Shawn Long spent some social media time over the course of the weekend as well, which we'll get to.
He had a big night the other night on the Twitter.
This game was big. It's a huge comeback. I'm going to talk about Lamar Patterson as the night and the day and the show unfolds, but Cam Glidden down the stretch, nothing but twine.
Yeah, they love getting it done in Adelaide, just silencing that 36er crowd, and Lamar Patterson, an absolute gun. Speaking of gun, how about Emmett Nah?
Ooh.
How good was Emmett Nah in his hometown of Sydney, just thrilling the home fans and getting Illawarra another win over the Kings.
Dave Barlow goes bang. Down 18 in the third, 17 in the fourth, ties it up at 81. They were able to get a stop. It goes to overtime, and in overtime, well, Casper Wynn, not only was he just draining triples, but he was dancing as well. He was huge.
Put the backpack on. When in doubt, just give the ball to Casper Wynn. We already know how it goes.
He's a killer.
This is nothing new. Look, that's the best two-way point guard in the league, period. Melo Trimble, great job. But at the end of the day, W's is what matters most.
I love the way he responds when he's challenged. Like, he's got that beautiful big smile on his face, Casper, when he plays. But when somebody starts talking to him, and Cairns were getting all over him, the bench, and with Melo Trimble putting it on his backside and hitting that three. And Casper, I don't know, the Drew League kind of comes out in him in those moments, and he just turns up, and he's an absolute killer down the stretch.
And that's the difference. Big-time players show up at the right moments, when your team needs it the most. That's the difference. That's why he's a killer. That's the difference.
He spoke about the killer instinct and them needing it during the course of the week, and it might have got bought out in him accidentally. I think it was Melo Trimble, and I think Lucas Walker on the bench after a travel might have been the old clap in the face when the Taipans are in the control. But we'll talk about Melbourne United a little bit later on in the show. But right now, let's talk about the Sydney Kings, a team who sit atop the ladder. They did beat the Breakers to start the weekend, but they were beaten from really go to woe by the Illawarra Hawks for the second time in 8 days on Sunday, and today they've made a change. They're going to bring in Ray Turner, who has last been seen in Australia in the Seabull competition for the Bendigo Braves. He obviously has been in Australia a lot. He gets up. That's his old school, old school Texas A&M college highlights. But this is a guy that you think is going to play some depth, big minutes to help out Andrew Bogut, Liam.
Yeah, and also the next gen camp, another big tick for the next gen camp, and he's a big, strong body. I like that they're not sitting on their hands. This is another team like Brisbane who have said, let's bring in a third import. Let's make the decision that Perth have not made and bring in somebody who can just help our roster. And I think he's going to play some important minutes in their backup 5 spot. He's not super tall, 6'8", 6'9" at best. These are the more recent clips. He's 28. Those college clips were a while ago. And but the question is, will he be able to give them 10 minutes a game off the bench, those minutes that Dane Pinau's currently giving them and defend the 5, hold the fort there when Bogey's getting some rest, and get some defensive boards in that lineup alongside Dan Kickett when he's stretching the floor and he's sort of guarding 4s. Can Turner come in and get some defensive boards? And if he can, it's going to help that team a lot.
Well, if he's that athletic, he should be okay in this league.
He's strong too.
And if he's strong, he can put the ball on the deck and he can shoot the 3. But more importantly, he's going to come in and give you spot minutes, quality minutes, just enough to give Bogut, make sure he's not in foul trouble. You can hold the fort down until Bogut gets back in. Because I tell you right now, he looked like he's getting tired. Andrew Bogut last week against Shawn Long, he had 9 and 9. And then to back it up, he had 10 and 10. You're going to need him down the stretch to play big minutes. And look, now this is my thing with that. They played 2 games in 3 days, okay? He's older. He's going to need somebody that can give him quality minutes at the backup position. Dan Pinau can't do that in the playoffs. Come on, let's be for real.
And we did see a little bit of that on the weekend. And I think he's had an okay year. But Shawn Long, at the start of the second quarter, at the start of the fourth, when New Zealand made their run, Shawn Long really bullied that second unit of the Kings. And I think that's what the Kings, and Ray Turner's been training with them for a couple of weeks now. So they've had a good look at him. And I think that's specifically, you speak about spot minutes, I think that's 8-10 minutes will be enough to get what they need out of this guy.
Yeah, hopefully he can do that for him. I'll be interested to see if Drewy makes some changes to the way he's doing his rotations, because he tends to play Bogey the entire first quarter and then sit him at the start of the second. Other teams, they're resting their starting 5-man late in the first quarter, and then he's often coming in very early in the second. And as a result, those starting 5s, guys like Jawai, Shawn Long, they're playing against Pinot for a bunch of minutes there at the start of the second quarter. I wouldn't be surprised if Drewy maybe just alters that a little bit so that Turner defends the backup 5s. You know, if it's New Zealand, he's defending, Ty Wesley when they go with a smaller lineup, or Majuk or someone like that. I think that would help a little bit as well.
Now, of course, when this went on social media about an hour or so ago, there was a couple of questions about how many Americans, how many imports they can actually have on their list. So just to explain it, Denga Kuth is now no longer part of the rotation. I don't think with his athleticism and the way he plays his game, I don't think it'll be the last we see of him in the NBL, and maybe not the Sydney Kings, and we'll see what happens next year. But to break it down, Randall, American, import. We got Ware, who's the import as well. Kevin Liss is naturalised, and we see him play for the Australian Boomers at the Olympics, so that's a fair indication there. Brian Bowen is not classified an import under the next gen and the situation with the program the NBL have bought into which he plays. So it's import. Ray Turner will be their 3rd import. So they do have a few that are born in the United States, but only 3 Americans.
Did you mention Bowen Next Stars?
Yes, Next Stars. I said Next Gen, Next Stars.
I think the thing that some people want to know about is the marquee player situation with the Kings, because the other part of that rule is you can only have a total of 4 imports and marquee players. So the question is, how many marquee players do the Kings have? It must be just 1.
They have 1.
Just must be.
They have 1.
Who is it?
Bogut.
Is it?
Well, was it Lish originally?
It definitely was Lish.
Right.
There's no doubt. And when he went from Illawarra to Sydney, there was a fair bit of money attached, and I believe that he was a marquee player, but he must no longer be a marquee player. But they would have looked at this and thought, if we bring a 3rd import in, we can only do that if we have the 1 marquee, which of course must be Andrew Bogut.
What's interesting though, we talk about 3rd import, and we're going to get to Perth a little bit later. They're now the only team left. Sydney were also operating on 2 imports. They had that spot up their sleeve. Brisbane, we know they've brought in AJ Davis. So now there's only 1 team left. Ramon Moore's injured, so they've got 1 on the sidelines, but he's still part of the roster. Only 1 team left who hasn't taken the option of activating that 3rd import.
Well, let's get to Ramon Moore and the Adelaide 36ers. They had a win against Illawarra last Thursday. They blew a golden opportunity at home in Adelaide on Saturday. Lamar Patterson was huge. Cam Glidden, which you saw late. But the news today that Ramon Moore is out for the rest of the regular season with a calf injury. Even if he's right to go, they're going to hold him back all the way, and because they play on Thursday night, not enough time to bring another import in, unless it was going to be De Leon. That was the only way they could do it, knowing they only have 7 games left, which would mean finals qualification. So it has to be an Australian-based player, and Liam Santamaria, where should they be looking?
Well, there's a few guys around, not heaps, but there's a few guys. You want a guy, I think, at this point with NBL experience, right? You want to bring him in to actually play some minutes and help you get to the finals and have a bit of an impact. So who's out there? Mason Bragg. We saw him with the Wildcats for a while. Shawn Bruce didn't get re-signed with Brisbane earlier this year.
Been training at Cairns, so still in the system in some small part as well.
The other one would be Damon Hire out of Cairns last year, who I was surprised they didn't re-sign and played well in New Zealand over the off-season. So there's those three. I'd be surprised if a replacement didn't come out of that group.
Okay, so as I said, they will hold Ramon Moore out until the regular season. 7 games left, which is the cut-off for qualification. Do they go with the guard? Do they go for a like-for-like? Or do they go outside and try and bring a big guy? Or what do you think, Homicide?
I think exactly what he said. Just go with a guard. You got to go quick. You got to make your move quick.
Can they make the playoffs still?
I think they can. I mean, you still have... They have Selby at the point. You still have Dane coming off the bench. You could put Drimmick in at the 2. You put Wiley. Wiley could... You still got Conga. You could play him at the 3, obviously. The 4 and the 5, you go with the rookie and DJ. Or, if you want to bring the rookie off the bench, Frolin, you put the mini Matrix back in, Wiley. They got enough to beat Perth. I know that.
There it is.
Well, at least they get a chance to build their confidence.
They do.
And kind of I don't know.
He believes that. Do not backtrack. He believes what he's saying.
Don't entice Homicide to go another poem on air.
No,
that poem was nice too.
We'll get to the Wildcats. There's plenty to talk about.
Who do you think it'll be?
It's a big disruption.
It is.
Losing Ramon Moore.
It really is.
This guy was second in the league in assists and was playing a really crucial role. You saw those clips earlier of what he did in Illawarra. Off the bench, mind you. They brought him off the bench in that game, came back to his starting role. He was really, really crucial to them kind of picking things up over recent times and Sobe refinding his form because he was playing, splitting his time now between the 1 and the 2. You have to have someone who can come in and handle the rock so that Sobe can still play some minutes at the 2. All 3 of those guys we talked about can do that. And so we wait and see, but I don't think they'll make it now.
The battle...
I've been on them. I've been on their bandwagon, but I don't think they'll make it.
The battle for the top spot is, as close as it can be with Sydney and Melbourne. Perth are in that 3rd spot. But this battle for 4th and that playoff spot in the even competition, which will touch on comebacks and how close it is at the moment. So that 1v4 is going to be such a wonderful series, as will the 2v3. But the battle from now, with Brisbane currently holding it, Adelaide with some disruption, New Zealand finding form, Illawarra, who have knocked off the big dogs in Sydney twice in 8 days. This is an outstanding last 6 weeks in the NBL because there are so many different ramifications for every game. New Zealand...
Yeah, there's 7 teams who can legit still make it.
Yeah.
And Cairns are probably almost playing the best in the league and they can disrupt everyone.
Well, yeah, and look, it's funny how this has worked out. The last couple of seasons we've had this situation. Look at last season, right? New Zealand dominated the start of the year and the fever break pushed them off a cliff. And that's Perth right now. Perth is playing that role. Sydney were that the year before. And last year, the Kings, the bottom of the ladder for a lot of that stretch, were huge spoilers down the stretch. No one wanted to play them, and Cairns in exactly that same role. It just goes to show the spread of talent. Once teams, it just takes you come off that peak form a little bit, and teams will just roll over you like what's happened to the Wildcats. And if you can start to get your stuff together like Cairns have, you can really go on a roll.
Who finishes 4th?
Perth.
So who comes in?
Brisbane.
Brisbane come in?
Brisbane are legit.
How about yourself?
Brisbane, they are legit. Lamar Patterson, oh my goodness. What he did, what I saw him do against Adelaide in that 4th quarter, well, in the game, but the way he orchestrated and got everybody wide open looks, and for them to knock them down, like, he was incredible. One-on-one, no one can't do anything with him one-on-one. He's almost like Casper Ware for Brisbane. When in doubt, give him the ball, he's going to make plays happen. For others, let alone himself.
Yes.
Super unselfish. He was two assists away from a triple-double. And he did it effortlessly. If he didn't foul out at the end of the game, well, with 5 minutes left in the game, he'd have got that triple-double.
No doubt.
Easy.
Yeah.
It was a comeback for Brisbane. There was a comeback earlier where Adelaide or Illawarra had the early lead before the shot clock issue. Of course, no bigger comeback than what Melbourne United did in Cairns. It is almost becoming,
oh my goodness,
as even as this competition is, this year is starting to become the year of the comeback.
It is.
And it is, we're seeing games where there is essentially no time where a team can really come back and have a crack at it. Look at that, 78 games played this year, 22 times teams have come from double-digit points down to win. Only 21 last year overall, so still with 6 weeks left. And look at that, 3 of the 6 games involved a 10-point comeback. Adelaide, Brisbane and Melbourne, as we touched on.
Look at that top. More than a quarter of the games
Unbelievable.
have seen a keen team come back from 10 or more points to win.
You know why?
Please.
This ain't a cupcake league. This is not a cupcake league.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Don't think because you're up 10, 12, 15 points, game is won. In a lot of leagues, it's like that. The other team will put their head down, game over.
Yeah.
NBL, B.
You know what it's great for? TV.
Oh, yeah.
Because if games are never over, and that's what people are staying in. You know, if you get if you're 10 goals down an AFL game, or you're in a big bash and someone makes 220 and you're 3 for 12, the thing's done.
Yeah,
the NBL is proving to be such an even league where everyone has an opportunity. But why do you think it's happening?
I think the schedule has a bit to do with it, because the schedule is a little bit more compact this year and some teams are playing a lot of games. You mentioned Sydney 2 in 3 games. That was their 4th game in 9 days. And like 2 of those ones this week, Cairns had already played in Perth, mind you, and it was Melbourne's first game. Melbourne ran over the top of it.
No doubt.
Adelaide had already played in Illawarra, came home. Brisbane, it was their only game of the week. They had more legs down the stretch. So I think the schedule plays a bit of a part of it. But you talk about Brisbane, mate, they have become very good at doing that. And Andre Lamanis has talked about what he likes. He talked about the depth, but there's so much more to their team that allows them to come back. We've seen them do it to Melbourne a couple of times as well. Their veteran experience, they don't panic. They're so poised and they have incredible belief. And that is a team, man, you do not want to play them in the first round of the finals because...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, because no matter how... They're always in the game, no matter how far ahead you get.
And guess what else they have that nobody else has? Lamar Patterson. Give that man the ball. He's going to make plays happen. He draws so much attention because his big body. So, first of all, who are you going to put on him? A point guard? Get him out of there. Too little. He's going to go by them, create havoc in the paint. Somebody's going to help. He's going to make the right decision. High IQ player. And that's what he did. He picked apart the Adelaide 36ers like I've never seen one individual pick them apart.
He did the same to Melbourne.
He did.
Early in the year. Well, you know what I'm interested to see, though? Brisbane plays Sydney 3 times in the next few weeks or down the stretch of the season. And so we're going to find out a lot about the Bullets to see them go up against the best team in the league 3 times down the stretch. Now,
Cairns, as you touched on, late collapse. Melbourne ran over the top of them, and a combination of things. Casper Weir got really hot. David Barlow hits the game. Tired at forced overtime. But let's focus on how well they've actually played the last 2 weeks. We used to sit here for the first 2 months of the season and pick apart why they weren't winning games. When they were in games in the 4th quarter, it was a great deal of frustration. They were great. They smacked around Brisbane, who we know are insanely talented. They had their chances to beat the Kings. Then they went to the Wildcats, and they were great for 3.5 quarters and held on. And then they were great for nearly 4 quarters against Melbourne. What's changed?
I think a few things. I think... as much as Mallow Trimble was super dominant, I think there have been the ball has moved a little bit more. So, for instance, they've made a much bigger emphasis of Nate Jawai. There you see DJ Newell, Devon Hall's getting more involved in the games where they're doing well. So it's important, I think, for them that those 4 guys get a lot of action. And Jawai has become a huge factor because they're making much more of a focus of him. And the other thing is they're way more locked in at the defensive end. And it's something we spoke about, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, lack of accountability perhaps defensively, and that has all improved a lot. And we spoke about it last week, Mike Kelly, and he spoke about it in the presser after the Perth win. He said, we gave these guys a fair bit of freedom earlier on, and he said, it's not like we've taken that away, but we've given them much more direction, which I think is another word for we've implemented a bit more accountability at the defensive end of the floor.
Trimble's outstanding, wonderful weekend, but Jawai, who's had a bigger influence on this change of fortune, Homicide?
It had to be Jawai. Give the big fella the ball. He likes to pass. So when you have a big guy that's willing to pass once the double comes, and as dominant and as big as he is, you have to give him the ball. You have to use him. And as a result of that, he's played better basketball, and they look better. They look better balanced.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I'm ready to, you know who I'm ready to talk
All
about.
right, let's talk about them. The Perth Wildcats, of course, since the FIBA break. We mentioned this last week. The only team they've beaten since November 25, when they beat the Breakers, has been the Cairns Taipans when they were really mirrored in a horrible form slump. Now, we continue. The Cairns Taipans got a hold of the Wildcats. There was a poem that went on social media. I didn't realise you're a poetry. What did I call you? MVP
Listen,
or poet?
I'm a man of many talents.
Well, let's have a look at this. 2-7 since the FIBA break,
Yep.
which has changed the fortunes of a couple of clubs in the last couple of years. The only 2 wins against the Cairns. And if you look at that, is littered to losses against teams they are going to probably meet at least one of them if they do, in fact, make the playoff, which you don't think is going to happen anyway, do you?
Well, unfortunately now, Ramon Moore injured. He's out. That changes the whole dynamics of the Adelaide 36ers team, and that was one of the teams that I said would get in, them in Brisbane, but now that's not going to happen. So because by default, the Wildcats may get that 4th spot by default. Now, here's my point with the Wildcats, okay? When you get a car and you drive a car 200 miles an hour every day, what's bound to happen to that car?
Probably you're going to lose your licence for speeding for one, and then the car will probably burn out.
There you go. That's Bryce Cotton. Bryce Cotton is burnt out. They overused him. All right? When you look at the makeup of their team, which they have a good nucleus as far as the Aussie players on their team, these guys are 1st through 3rd quarter type of players. Meaning, in the 4th quarter, they are not the guys that you say, give me the ball, and they're going to close the game out. Can we agree?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. The other import is who? Tarico White. Besides the last game, he averages 1 point per game in the 4th quarter. Okay? There's 88 players in this league. He ranks in the 4th quarter 56. That is the stat, which means what? He's not a closer. Who else do you have? The man that's burnt out. How you going to win? He's tired. Get the 3rd import in, who I would say would be a big. Get a big in, releases pressure off Tarico White, where you don't have to worry about him getting the ball in the 4th or anybody else. He can get busy a little bit. You don't need him to dominate the ball, but do more. Block shots. There ain't nobody in there blocking shots. So you're always going to get an easy look at the basket. How are they going to win games? How?
Well, you make some good points. And for me, it's been their offense, right? Their offense has fallen off a cliff. When they were 10-1 at the FIBA break, they were they had the most efficient offense and defense. Now, we're used to them having the most efficient defense in the league. They didn't last year, but they were 2nd to Melbourne. Since then, right, since that break, they've fallen off the cliff offensively. They are still the 2nd ranked defense in the league, but they've gone down to 5th in terms of their offense. Since the break, they've averaged 83 points per game offensively.
This happened last year, though, as well.
Well, when we talked about the changes they needed to make last year, right? The offense has broken down. Now, part of it is, I think you're right on the money in terms of the reliance on Bryce Cotton. He has stopped getting to the rim. And through the first half of the season, it was a huge element of their offense. They wanted some more shooting, right? So they brought in Tarico White to replace JP Tokoto. And part of that was, well, we need more 3-point shooting. But the other part was, let's open up the lane so that Bryce, as they come and they double and they run him off the arc, he can get to the rim. And he was doing that. He was scoring more at the basket this year than ever before and in the NBL, and averaging a whole bunch of free throw attempts. But he stopped doing that because
he's tired.
He's tired.
You know what happens?
The car broke down.
You know
his finger messed up. His hammy messed up. His ankle messed up. We don't know what's wrong with him right now. At the end of that game, he was limping or something. We don't know.
It looks like he tweaked his ankle on one of those last shots. You get to the ring, you get fouled more, you get banged up more.
There you go. He's tired.
So you're right. So there is always a negative to getting to the foul line and getting the cheapies like he has done, and did really well to start the year.
Now, I disagree, though, about bringing in a big. Now, I think it's almost too late, right? They've got...
Definitely too
late.
They already said
they're not bringing someone
Well, hold on. That's another point. They've said they're not. Does that mean then they can't? Once you come out and you say, we're backing these guys in, this is our team, and then you lose to Cairns at home... Can you backtrack on that?
Well, I don't know.
No, you can't. You got to hold the fort. You said it, you hold it.
Paraphrasing here, but he said, I love our group. We're just not playing what I think we're capable of right now.
I think you're right. Unfortunately, you do. But if they... We said it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think the guy they've needed this whole time is another wing. And we talked about Lamar Patterson. Now, Lamar Pattersons don't grow on trees, but that kind of guy who can give you buckets, right? Can give you buckets off the dribble, give you another spark, and take some pressure off Tariq White. Maybe you can play him off the bench, you know?
You got too many other wing players already. You're just going to add a whole nother wing player?
But if he's a wing player that can score, you're just going to diminish the role of a wing player that's there that's not scoring.
Listen, it's over
if that
for
means
him.
Clint...
It's over. They got
See,
Adelaide
Clint
3
Steifel's their
times.
third scorer.
Yeah.
Really, he's their third scorer.
Come on, man. Stop it.
What, do you disagree?
Wax. Where are they?
He's their third scorer.
Oh, please.
He's their third option.
Adelaide
right now.
36ers, they played 3 times.
Well, what's going to be fascinating to watch is, and Trevor Gleeson said after their last game, we're at a crossroads. And over the next little bit, we're going to find out a lot about who we are. We sure are. And this week...
Who's going to find out?
Who do they play? Adelaide and
Thursday.
Who? Who's the other team they play this week?
United.
They play United Sunday.
They are going to...
Hey.
It's over. You know it.
Guess who's in the building?
They are going to play.
So just some breaking news, actually. This is the last overtime. We'll see Corey Homicide Williams, because God knows what they're going to do.
Speaking of God knows what he's going to do. You know what happened to me on Instagram? Tariq White's wife responds back to me on
That's
Instagram.
right. You did mention
Had some words for me.
Yes, you did.
That's how crazy it's getting right now. So you already know the stuff that I'm saying. That's being talked about out west.
All right, let's...
Do you know what? I would love nothing more. I don't often cheer for results, but I'm cheering for the Wildcats.
Oh, come on!
2-0 this weekend. If they go 2-0, for what? Nick Kay stands up. Do you know what I mean?
Hey,
and Jesse Wagstaff hits some shots.
You know,
and Tariq White lights up the fourth quarter.
Against
and the
who?
Wildcats
you know what's going to happen?
2-0.
You know what's going to happen? This thing is going to start smoking. Homicide's going to be walking.
How good would it be?
It'll be blown up.
You know what? Just so you guys know.
I want it to happen.
It would be great. I'm a little bit with you, Dylan. Yeah. All right, talking social media. Shawn Long had an interesting Sunday, of course, has been playing really good, and we asked the question last week, who was the best big man in the game, to which Andrew Bogut, still on the back of you NBL watchers, still suggesting he's the best big man, and I and Liam and half Homicide agreed, but he had a very interesting weekend. No big in the NBL is better than me, LOL, and that's on Pops, and of course, he is now saying... he'll put 10K up on anyone who wants to take him on one-on-one. And to the NBL head honchos and to the Australian Boomers USA Dream Team organisers, Bogut v Long one-on-one under the roof of Marvel Stadium would be great to watch.
That wouldn't even be great to watch.
But
that's not going to happen.
No, it wouldn't. No one wants this. First of all, if you want to watch a game one-on-one, it's a guards game.
You're right, I agree to that.
Nobody's going to see 7-footers play.
What wasn't on there, though? A couple of things on all of that. What wasn't on there was the tweet he sent later, which was like, oh, I'm just playing with you. I really respect all the bigs in the NBL, but, you know, I'm just kind of going
I don't think he disrespected anyone by tweeting that. I think just simply he believes, and so well he should be, that he's the best big man, even if others disagree.
Is it a good look after a loss?
Here's how I feel about the whole thing.
Maybe not, but as media, we love this stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And 20 and 10.
It's entertainment.
But outside of that, you know, he said... Bogut's the OG. So he gave the respect to Bogut. But he's just saying one-on-one, no big can guard him. He has the right to say that if that's how he feels.
It's not a one-on-one game.
We're not talking about fight. He's saying one-on-one. That's all he's saying. One-on-one can't nobody guard me. That's just what he's saying.
I actually really like it. I think that any professional athlete has to have some type of confidence and arrogance, and he showed it. Now, he went back. I don't think he disrespected anyone, and I think that everyone in the NBL, the NBA, EuroLeague, wherever the hell you play basketball, should 100% believe that when you have the ball, you're guarding someone, you should be able to score or stop them.
Right. I don't know. I'm a bit of a cynic. Is it a coincidence that he tweets his face off about that after he's played all 4 games against Andrew Bogut and the Kings this season?
Maybe, but they might meet him in a playoff as well. I'll also point out that I almost guarantee that someone from the New Zealand Breakers might have said, well, calm down. And that's where the tweet come from a little bit later, which I don't like, because I'd like to see it.
Could you imagine?
It's great.
A one-on-one game.
No. Could you imagine if other players said what they really felt in this league?
Well, not just this
That would be epic.
Just any league outside the NBA.
I mean, I'm sure there's leagues outside the NBA where players say whatever.
Well,
where else? Who don't? It's only here we make sure players can't say anything.
But can I point out, this is the culture
Come out
of Australia.
and say how you feel.
It's a culture of Australian sport, not just in the NBL. It happens in, NRL.
Yeah, so could you imagine if a guy said, you know what, Liam can't check me, I'm going to kill him today.
I mean,
that would be something to look forward to.
I heard a fair bit of that over the Jenny.
You know what I mean? Like, Liam is like, what? We're going to see what's up.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no,
you would want to watch games more. Like, oh, man,
well, you know who he plays this week?
Who?
No, Jawai.
Yeah.
Against who?
Shawn Long.
Okay.
No big man can check me.
Now,
let's go.
We don't have the
love it.
That's gonna be
epic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look what just happened a while ago.
Of course.
Just because of what he said, look what we're saying right now.
Yes,
Imagine if everybody, two players on each team that just came out and said
100% do not disagree, but it's a sporting culture in Australia. Wrongly,
let's change the culture.
Starting now.
Let's do it.
Starting now. Let's start a movement.
Somebody tweet something right now.
Okay. Just quickly, Josh Boone, we haven't got this, but Josh Boone actually went back. And Gilbert Gardner of the Herald Sun had written an article leading into the new year and was questioning where he's been. And Josh Boone went back a couple of weeks and he was outstanding on Sunday against Cairns. And Casper Ware was massive. Dave Barlow was huge as well, but Josh Boone was massive in the second half and said, hey, question where I'm at. Did you go too soon? Did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
It looked a little bit like, because the date of the original tweet from the Herald Sun was a few weeks ago.
You have to go back. It was ready.
He went back.
Maybe
he had it saved and said, all right, when I double.
Right.
When I next double. But, Josh Boone, for all the things that have maybe, missing Ty Wesley, we spoke about that last week, and maybe he's been a bit up and down. He has a massive motor.
Huge.
And when those games go into overtime, and we saw it, remember in Illawarra, first round of the season, the massive overtime he had, and he just keeps humping that middle lane, and Jawai could not go with him for anything.
You think about his best games. That New Zealand semi-final last year went into overtime.
Yes.
Yep. He was at 33 and 18. Last week, against Illawarra, that quadruple overtime.
Yep.
New Zealand earlier in the year when it went deep and he had a huge game. And again, he is the big man who can bump and grind and is probably better suited to that in the half court. Yeah. But getting up and down.
He's got a massive motor.
He's got a huge motor and he's a guy, of course, who, aerobic. Not only has he got a huge motor, but also a long memory as well. So good on him. I liked it. All right, Rookie of the Year, we're asking you at NBL. Hashtag NBL19, hashtag NBL Overtime. Who is the Rookie of the Year? I'll start with you, Liam Santa Maria. As it stands right now, Harry Froling fairly comfortably in front. Emmett Nah had a wonderful weekend, in particular Sunday against the Kings, but Froling still the favourite in the eyes of the NBL fans. Agree?
I agree. There's still a little bit of water to go under the bridge. Certainly Emmett Nah played fantastic on the weekend. Those guys have been really fun to watch, but Froling has had a massive impact. 8 points and 4 rebounds, shooting over 50% from the field. He's shooting over 40% from three at about 1 3-point make a game, and he's having a legit impact for the 36ers.
I agree. I like all of those young guys. Great talent. Greeda I like, Nara I like, Vague I like. But, they could only be one Rookie of the Year. And, I've had a chance to see him play all season because I cover all of their home games. And Froling's tough. He can step out, shoot the three, put the ball on the deck, can pass, getting better on defense. And, he runs the floor well. I have nothing but good things to say about that guy. I
know it's a pretty hard ask to ask him to continue to maybe even step it up a notch. But without Ramon Moore now, he might need to be one of the guys, along with Jacob Wiley, who plays a similar position, having to stand up as the 36ers try desperately to stay in the hunt for the top 4. At NBL, let us know who do you think the Rookie of the Year is. Hashtag NBL19, hashtag NBL Overtime. Big weekend of games. What did you say, Liam Santa Maria?
Well, there's always a bit going on. As I always say, let's start in Illawarra.
You do always say that.
Yeah, I do. Look at the shot clock. No shot clock. 40 seconds to go in the quarter. Joey Wright just doing what he was allowed to do here. Look how long this possession goes for. You really will never see this in the NBL. It's basically a 40-second possession with no shot clock. The thing just went forever, and eventually they missed. And how about Illawarra almost scored on the buzzer? Waxy.
Fundamentals, baby.
Getting a little sun. He looks like he's getting a little sun up there in far north Queensland. Damien Martin, trademark, and a little wiping action. Get the wind axe. Thirsty, a little Drewy. He's like, oh boy, I really needed that. Look at KB, Kevin Brooks. He's still got it. Check the handles. Has no interest in what Joey Wright's saying, but his handles are good. Although, keep your eye on the Wilson. because as this possession continues, that thing's a turnover. Yoink.
Championship suit. Oh, here we go.
So he gives his Boomers coach a little something. Whack. That was no fun for the Miners.
Yo.
Hey, there's the Godfather.
The GOAT.
Aussie Hoops, Lindsay, guys. It was so good to see him in the building. They had a little chat with him. He's told Rob Canning that he wears the cap because of the glare of the lights in the arena. But what he didn't explain was Black Fives, which I thought was worth explaining. It's an organisation that celebrates and educates people about the history of African American basketball.
Yep.
So I like that from Lindsay.
Also wearing an Apple Watch, is he, Lindsay Gaines?
Lindsay knows what's going on in this world.
The only thing that could stop Mello Trimble in the first half was the boxes.
Yeah.
Couldn't get back on D, Mello.
I probably won't worry him, to be honest.
You like that? You like that, Corey? That's not bad. Look, keep your eye on Christian Jelena. Lousy gives him fresh air and he's like, oh, yo, Krislovich, give me something. Oh, don't leave me hanging. Yo, can you help me out here? I got you.
Santa's always watching on a big weekend in the NBL. All right, yes or no time? Going to start with you, Liam. Will Dan Kickett be at the Kings next year?
Yes.
Are you and Trevor Gleeson on speaking terms?
I'm sure he wouldn't want to speak to me right now.
That's a no? Okay. Hey, should Lamar Patterson be in MVP conversations?
He is.
He should be. Should we be talking about it even more?
No.
Okay, cool.
We've got it about right.
Should the Wildcats offer Carmelo Anthony a 2-month contract?
No.
You don't think it'd help them?
No.
No, I agree too. Is it a bad thing for the league, the NBL, if not one Australian-based player makes the Olympic team in 2020?
No.
Should the Taipans, this is half a joke, but it may be serious, should the Taipans offer Mello Trimble's mum a 3-year assistant coaching contract?
You crazy. Whatever it takes to keep him here.
Okay, and seriously, should they do what the Wildcats did with Bryce Cotton and offer him a 3-year deal? Obviously, an NBA out clause, which he spoke about obviously passionately during the week, but should the Taipans sign him long-term, ASAP?
They couldn't afford him. His price has gone up.
Do the Phoenix need to sign a couple of extra players? They need. Obviously, we had the Mitch Creek thing a couple of months ago, and overtime, pardon the pun, with the marketing. Now it's sort of died off a little bit. Do they need to sign a couple of players?
It'd be good, but it's not easy.
No,
you can't talk to you can't even talk to the NBL guys until the season's over.
Is Nate Jaiwai having a better season than AJ Ogilvy?
100%.
Yep.
Is that a serious question?
That's a serious question. In 3 years' time, who'll have more impact on the NBL? Emmett Nah or Shea Ely?
Emmett Nah.
Is James Harden the MVP of the NBA again?
Look, I can't give you a yes or no to that. What I am going to give you is... All right, look.
Hang on, you text me and said, look, include James Harden, yes or no?
Do you like street ball?
Yeah.
Do you understand what street ball is?
Yeah.
For those of you who think street ball is rubbish, James Harden is the best street ball player ever. What does he do when he plays? Give me the ball, get out my way, watch me work. 44, 38, 32, 42, 43, 38, 57. That man is playing street ball in the NBA. Shout out to the best street ball player in the world, James Harden, back-to-back MVP. Let's go get it. Talk to me.
So you gave me a
yes.
You gave me a yes.
Yes.
After all that. I wondered why you were writing notes for the first time ever, but there you go. James Harden, MVP, outstanding.
When I write notes, it's for the right reason.
There we go. All right, where do we find you this weekend?
Oh, Adelaide versus Perth and Adelaide and WA. Homicide is coming home, baby.
Oh, my God.
Coming
You've got
home.
2 games and they're the 2 Perth games.
Yes, I do.
Wow. How about yourself, Liam?
I'm back on Wednesday week. Melbourne, Illawarra.
Oh, open air game. We'll be back before that, but that's always going to be exciting and in collaboration with the Australian Open, which, of course, is underway here in Melbourne. We are done. Hashtag NBL19, hashtag NBL Overtime. Get involved. Until next week, well, mate, we might not see you again. Liam Santa-Marino will be back. Corey Homicide Williams has to get through Western Australia. We'll see how it all plays out. Enjoy your ball. See ya.
It'll play out.